Hey crew, it's Mike, and today we're going to talk about the 6 things I just learned in Harley-Davidson's financial call, including the reason for the plant shutdown back in May. 1. Within the first 3 minutes of the call, the CEO acknowledges that the plant shutdown back in May that they did due to an abundance of caution related to a regulatory compliance issue with a third-party supplier was related to brake hoses. Let's listen to this.
Before I provide some more detail on delivery of our strategic initiatives for Q2, I would like to comment briefly on the suspension of production and shipments that we experienced in the quarter. The decision we took to temporarily close our production facilities and suspend vehicle shipments was taken out of an abundance of caution and related to a regulatory compliance issue with the brake hoses provided by a Tier 2 to our Tier 1 suppliers. We continue to work through the knock-on effect of this action. We've ramped up production and we believe that we'll be able to make up for the lost production throughout the remainder of the year. As Gina will explain in more detail, we are therefore not changing our guidance for the full year. Now I'd like to look at some of the highlights of the quarter.
If you haven't seen it, I recently did a video about a brake component fix that I was informed of from a viewer. This fix is being applied to touring bikes that have been delivered since the plant shutdown. And I thought it might be related to the plant shutdown, and based on the statement we just heard, I believe it definitely is. Now, I don't really know what this fix is, and I really don't know what it's supposed to accomplish. And to date, I cannot find a service bulletin. Some of the people that watched that video have actually talked to some dealerships about that on the bikes that are on the floor, and they're now being told that that is a fix to leave in place. Now, I am hoping that in the future, there's going to be a service bulletin or something, and that part or piece is going to be replaced or repaired in some way so that these ungodly fixes are no longer necessary on the bike. I'm going to leave a link in the description down below and put a link at the end of this video for anybody that wants to watch that whole video about the brake component fix. Now, I think this fix is basically just a band-aid that's being done until the proper parts can be available. They're probably not available due to supply chain issues right now. And supply chain issues are not just plaguing Harley-Davidson. Trucks are being shipped without the chips that are necessary for heated seats or heated steering wheels. Motorcycles are being shipped without foot pegs, and I'm not talking about Harley-Davidson. Four-wheelers being shipped without ECMs. The UTVs are showing up with mismatched wheels. Right now, manufacturers are just doing what they can to get product out the door so that dealers have product to sell. But sometimes there's a compromise, or then the product weight becomes at the dealer floor instead of at the manufacturer. 2. Q2 2022. Harley-Davidson reported a 4% reduction in revenue over previous year. Well, we know the previous years were not very good, so that's not sounding so great. In fact, the Harley-Davidson motorcycle segment of the business was actually down 5% from previous year, but financial services were up 1%, so we end up with a 4% reduction for the quarter. Now, because the first quarter of this year was pretty strong, the Q1, Q2 combined results year to date are actually flat. 3. Retail sales. Retail sales are actually down 28% in North America, but only 23% worldwide. I say only like it's not so bad. We're talking almost a third. Now, the plant was shut down for 2 weeks during that quarter, but if you think about it, with 4 weeks in a month, that's like 12 weeks, and they were down for 2. So they were down less than 20%. 20% would have been 2.5 weeks. And these numbers are pushing closer to 30%. So it's not just the plant shutdown that's leading to the reduction in retail sales. I suspect it's due to lack of inventory on the dealer floor, but as this slide shows, the touring and the heavy cruiser segments were actually up in market share. They don't discuss trike or Sportster sales, but I really doubt they lost a lot of sales in trike. So I suspect it's Sportster sales. Now, is that related to a lack of demand or a lack of product? That we have no idea, but Harley-Davidson says the sales were down due to lack of availability of units, not demand. I know my hometown dealer just recently in the last couple weeks got a Nightster in for the first time. And if we look at this slide, we can see that dealer inventory is down 13% from the previous year. I hear dealers just got their March inventory in June. Harley Davidson did say they've ramped up production to a level higher than it was pre-plant shutdown. They believe they will put out enough units to make their expected levels by the end of the year. Now, based on when those hit the dealership floors and when riding seasons are, they may not all enter into retail sales, but that will help get inventory levels back up on dealer floors to a more acceptable level as they enter into next year's sales. 4. Harley Davidson motorcycle segment revenue. So if you're like me and you're seeing this drop in worldwide sales, but only a 5% reduction in revenue, you're wondering how they made that up. As you can see in this slide, volume is down 10 points, but pricing is up 7%. You know what that means? That means they made up for the lack of sales by selling bikes at a higher MSRP, having more revenue from pricing than from sales. Unfortunately, that means that they're making up the revenue on the price that me and you as a consumer are paying for the bikes. 5. Operating income revenue was actually up over previous quarter and previous year. Now, with sales being down, you wonder how that mix turned about. That was by maintaining operating expenses better, and again, by pricing. Better pricing, more revenue, bigger margin, and thus how they had a better quarter for operating income, even though sales were lower. 6. The rest of the report was pretty bland to me, but during the Q&A section, something did come up that I found was interesting. Someone mentioned that Street Glides, Road Glides, and Road Kings, the standard versions, not the specials, had a decrease in the standard price. The CFO explained that they did not really have a decrease in price as much as an adjustment based on configuration. 2021 models ABS was standard. They have decided to make ABS an option and price it accordingly. So you can now buy one of these standard models without ABS at a lower price point, but if you want ABS, you'll pay the additional price just like before. Now, the reason they're doing that is supply chain related issues to ABS components. Well, I think that might tie back into the whole brake line thing and the brake manufacturer and all of that, and that's a real problem. I get some of you may not care about ABS, and you may think it's okay if you don't have to pay for it if you don't want it. And that's fine, except it's a step back from what is standard equipment. They're taking options away, and if they don't make that really apparent to you, you think you're just saving money, and you may not realize that you're actually getting less features as well. Hopefully the salesman's very upfront about that, but I wouldn't bet that to be the case always. Alright guys, I hope you liked this video and found it informative. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you like the content on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Y'all stay safe, keep on riding, and we'll see you in the next one.